Every business wants good customer reviews. Every customer wants a good experience. So what happens when both sides click? Or in some cases, when they don't? From Yelp and Entrepreneur Media, this is Behind the Review.
Behind the review, dig deeper too. Behind the review, get all the news. Food, flowers, fixing, make business boom. Behind the review, dig deeper too.
I'm Emily Washkovic, Yelp's small business expert. Behind the Review features conversations with business owners and customers who wrote one of their Yelp reviews. In our discussions, we talk about lessons they've learned that can be used by other small businesses to improve their reviews and their bottom line. Occasionally, I also talk to industry experts who have additional insights into things like customer experience, small business technology, or just general advice for running a successful business. Today, we're featuring a conversation I had in person back in April with both a business owner and consumer together in the studio. Kayli Kunkel, the owner of Earth and Me, was joined by a New York Yelp Elite, Lina A. Let's give our conversation a listen. Thank you so much for both joining me today. To have a business owner and a reviewer in the room together is always a dream of mine. It makes the conversation so fun. So to set the stage, let's talk about who we have with us today. Why don't you start?
My name is Lina A, and I reside in Brooklyn, New York.
And you are a Yelp Elite.
Yes, for 9 years.
9-year Yelp Elite. We will dig into a little bit more about what that means, but that is incredible.
Yes.
That's a veteran in the room with
Yes.
us. And then
I'm Kayli. I am the owner of Queen's First Zero Waste store, Earth and Me. Yeah, and that's what I do.
I can't believe that we're having this conversation during Earth Week, which was not really intentional, but is very fitting that we're talking about your business.
I know, worked out.
It's awesome. So why don't you start by telling me about how you discovered Earth and Me, where did you first learn of the business, and that experience you had for the first time when you went in?
Okay, so I discovered Earth and Me through a Yelp Elite event. Had never heard of a business like that business. And what stood out about the business was that it was women-owned. And it was sustainable. That's what I loved about it. So it was about a year ago that I went to the Yelp Elite event to attend that. And I fell in love with the store.
Kayli, give us some of the origin story. How did Earth and Me come about? What's your background that made you passionate in this area?
Sure. I grew up in a place surrounded by nature. I grew up along the Mississippi River, and I did a lot of hiking trails with my dad. I always really was a girl who loved nature and just to be outside, and found a lot of peace there. In my late 20s, during the height of the pandemic, a few years back, I was working full-time as a marketing director in tech, so something totally different. And during COVID, a lot of people their lives were upended, and mine was in a big way. And I was faced with this opportunity to figure out my next step. So I was just very lucky to have the community that I have in Queens that was really excited about my idea. And I started off with doing pop-ups. I had boxes in my apartment of all my inventory. I was riding my bicycle around to Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan delivering things. And it eventually became the store that you were able to visit.
That's amazing.
Kayli, describe for me, especially for the listeners who maybe can only see the Yelp photos, what's it like in there? I want to give the listener that idea.
Yeah, so Earth and Me is all sustainable items. So we really wanted to create that atmosphere that feels very natural, feels very peaceful. Almost you're on this busy street in Queens, but you step inside and it's very peaceful, it's relaxing, it smells really good. The mix of all of our natural soaps and candles and all of that stuff. So we really just wanted to have an atmosphere where people just feel really comfortable, happy, and relaxed coming to shop.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't know of businesses like yours because they really don't exist in a lot of places just yet. Describe for me what that sustainability concept is and how your consumers interact with the store.
So the sustainability aspect of the business is basically that we stock only items that help you make your life more sustainable. So we do everything from cleaning products to gifts to personal care, makeup, and all of that stuff. And all of our items are handmade with care. We vet all of the makers very carefully to make sure many of them are women-owned. You appreciated that. We do have a lot of good feminine energy in the store. Handmade items, natural ingredients, and none of the packaging is plastic. That's our real benefit for the consumer, is that you can come and and shop and know that you're doing good by the earth. You don't really have to vet products because we've done that for you.
And also the way that consumers can take some of the products teaches them about sustainability, right? Like if they're going to use some of your lotions or shampoos, they're taking that home in an item they can come back with and refill, right?
Yeah, our refill station is the most exciting thing about our store, I would say. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out, but I'm sure you saw it. So basically, it's all of these large glass bottles with pumps, and people always get really interested. They're like, what is this? I've never seen this before. But the idea is that when you buy something like a lotion or a shampoo, you're usually at the store, you're buying a big plastic container, then you're using it and throwing it away. Well, we just reduce that life cycle to refill. So you get a nice bottle or you bring one from home, you refill it with a natural product, and then you come back and refill when you're done.
Lina, bring me back to that first Elite event. And actually, let's tell our listeners what Elite events are. Give a little insight to these opportunities you get to go to because you are an Elite Yelper.
Okay, so Yelp Elite events are events where the community managers for different, like Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, they arrange these events at local businesses along with Yelp to bring foot traffic to businesses. And through our reviews, we help generate customers, new customers that did not know about these businesses before. And we're able to partake in these services. They'll shut it down. It's a private event just for Yelp leaders for us to partake in those businesses. And I love it. I try to go to as many as I can. And I give honest reviews, and I just love it.
Well, and what I love about it is you go and you experience this business through the event or the Elite experience, but then oftentimes you go back on your own. And I know you did go back on your own because you wrote a consumer review in addition to your event review.
Yes.
Can you read that for us?
Yes. I stumbled across this gym while attending a Yelp event, which was awesome to support 2 women-owned businesses. I love everything about this business. I purchased a few items, but it was so easy to lose yourself in the store and go overboard. I love how you can have your purchase poured into recycled, reusable bottles, or you can purchase new ones. Customer service is top-notch. They are helpful and friendly. Earth and Me is pretty cool, and the decor is beautiful.
5-star, right?
Yes, 5-star.
You hit on so many things. What they're selling, the vibe and interaction with the service that's being provided. Tell me why those things are important to you as a consumer. What made that Earth and Me experience really pop when you were there?
Well, it was like a lot of things going on, but me, I'm a girly girl. So I love things that smell good. So walking into the store and just smelling the aroma was just so beautiful. I do purchase things in plastic, to be honest. But to walk in a store that's completely different than what I'm used to going into, that's what intrigued me. And then the refill station, as Kayli stated, was just awesome. It was very unique. I've never seen a store like that. And it was very beautiful. I love the candles, the lotion. I think I bought some candles, but I just love everything about the store.
Well, and I think Lina's experience is probably in line with a lot of your customers. Maybe they're not even aware of all the plastic and waste that they're producing. Right. How do you see education as a part of your role as a business owner?
Yeah, well, I love what Lina said about, you've never seen a store like that, because a lot of our customers are kind of in the same way. Like, they may care about the planet and they may recycle or do some things, but they're not maybe familiar with all of the ways that you can reduce your waste. So to me, it's really exciting to just have people stumble upon the store like you did and have that exciting wow factor. Not only is this good for the planet, but this is also really fun. It smells good. It's good for me. And that's why I named the store Earth and Me, because it's like I'm doing good for the planet, but also good for myself.
So Kayli, when you started Earth and Me, you just had one pop-up. How did you decide to make the jump into a full-blown brick and mortar store? I can imagine that's scary.
It is really scary, especially in the aftermath of COVID. There's a lot of risks that you undertake. But I will say people like you who come and check it out and are excited to tell people about it really gave me the confidence to move forward. Because, yeah, it's true. Because, I had this idea and I loved it and I'm passionate about it, but if it doesn't resonate with my community, then what's the point? So having that early feedback from my pop-up markets, and we had a smaller location before the one that you visited, getting that feedback was just so critical to me making that big move.
That's amazing.
Well, and you just mentioned a transition from a smaller spot to where you are now. Talk to me about that. I mean, just even the real estate, and it can't have been that long. I mean, we're talking about the pandemic, which is a 3-year window. So you've been moving and grooving.
It happened really fast. Yeah, it's been a wild 3 years, but I wanted to just do a small store with not a huge lease burden to get started. So I found a space that was an old cell phone store. It needed a lot of work. It was bright purple, and our vibe is not very bright purple. It's very earth tones and everything. So it needed a lot of work, but it was in my budget where I was comfortable with. So we started out there. And within the first month, we had like lines out the block, and we could only have 3 or 4 people in the shop at a time. It was so tiny. It was like the size of this room almost. And so I knew right away it's a good time to expand. And I happened to tour the location that we're in now on Steinway, which is a very busy street. Lots of big box stores, lots of well-known brands, not a lot of small businesses, as you may have seen. And so it felt like a big risk to do that. But I went into the space. It was just bright and airy, and the windows were so tall, and it had a backyard. I don't know if you saw the backyard garden, but it wasn't a garden at the time, but it was a backyard. And so I felt we could do a lot there with our community. So that's how it happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And when you have something like in a community event, I mean, you need a gathering space for that.
Yes.
And it sounds like you all really got to move throughout, see the different areas. Tell me about how that maybe impacted you when you've come back as a consumer. Do you go in and gravitate towards certain spots? You check out new things?
Yes. I loved the candle section. And what also stood out to me during that first visit was where you could come home with a plant. The plant clippings area. That surprised me because I'm a plant mom. So when I saw that, I was like, how much is that? It was free. You really didn't have to pay for that. So I love that.
You were just drawn in from all different areas. And I think that shows the breadth of what Earth and Me offers. Have you expanded into different areas? Did it start primarily as one thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we started out just selling mostly personal care. So like your skincare, your bath, your things like that, and some cleaning items. But pretty soon I realized if we really want to be a zero waste business, we should be doing the refills. So we got into shampoos, body wash, things like that. When we moved to the new store, we had all this space to play with. So we introduced a woman-owned cafe inside the store. For a long time, she sold gluten-free, healthy sort of cookies and snacks, which were delicious, as I'm sure you haven't forgotten. We also introduced some really cool community programs. So we have the community garden in the back, which we've cultivated and planted with a bunch of like native plants that are good for pollinators and things like that. We also try to do a lot of community-free swapping programs. So we have the plant propagation wall where people can bring in cuttings of their plants from home and give or get a plant for free. People love that it's free. They're like, it's free, really? I'm like, yes, it's free. We want to share this with you. We introduced a vintage clothing section, a vintage home goods section, and just a lot more products, some food, spices, pastas, all in bulk. So, and we actually have since launched a second store last November, also in Queens, and we're about to open our third location in Brooklyn next month.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Fresh off the press. We just announced it. Yeah.
Was expansion always a part of the plan?
No. I mean, I guess like in a part of my like soul, I was like, this would be so fun to just take this everywhere because like you said, Lina, it really doesn't exist very widely. And when you're refilling, you're bringing these glass bottles to the store. You're not probably going to go 2 boroughs over to do that. So it really does have to be almost like a bodega model where it's everywhere. It's on every corner. Everyone can refill. So that's really become my mission with Earth and Me.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Lina, I want to bring it back to you. You mentioned the customer service while you were there. Tell me about that and why that makes an impact at a business.
For me, customer service is everything. The business is important and what the business offers, but customer service to me is very important. That sells your business. That makes me want to come back. I'm very strict on that wherever I go. I'm big on reviews and I'm big on customer service. I don't care if it's a shabby business, but if the customer service is good, I'm coming back to that business to give them another chance.
Absolutely.
That's me.
And as a business owner who's now expanding, and I mean, sitting with me on a Tuesday, you obviously have a team. How do you build a team that can create these experiences for the consumers that are almost an extension of you?
So to me, having a team with good energy is everything. Like I always pick people for the team that I start out just getting to know on a friendly basis. Like, let's get coffee. Let's hear how much you care about sustainability personally. I really just want people who care and who like to make people feel welcome and who understand, like you mentioned, we are in Queens for the most part. It's a very big melting pot. You get people who are from all different backgrounds, different languages, and with different expectations of what we do and what we sell. And it's just so important to us to just be just an open door and a friendly place to come into. So that is the first and foremost thing that I look for with our team.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, Lina, you review tons of places and you include a lot of information in your reviews. I always feel like you're really educating people who are reading it. But what are the key things that you like to hit on? What motivates you? Like, do you review every place or just stick to the ones that shine out with a great experience?
No, I take reviewing seriously. I review everywhere. A lot of the places that I tend to go to on my personal time, I look at the reviews before I go in that business. I take it very serious with Yelp with my reviews. I review everything, food, businesses. I think that's my way of giving back to the business owner because, see, my dream is to become a business owner. So the same thing that I'm giving out to someone else, I would want them to give it back to me. So I believe in the energy that you put out, you get that energy back. I take it serious. I don't do negative reviews if I didn't have a negative experience. I just don't do that. I don't like when people do that because the business owners rely on that stuff for you to be honest.
Well, and also, you're not very negative in general. I think, if anything, I would call it feedback that you write. And it sounds like you always do it in a tone that is trying to help them, not criticize them.
Yeah, I'm big on that. Most of the time, sometimes at the end of my reviews, that I'll tell, hey, if you haven't stopped by, what are you waiting for? Go stop by. Go patronize the business. I do reviews everywhere.
I love it. And how about you? I mean, you obviously get a lot of reviews, but you're also a retailer. You know, we're not dealing with huge volume like maybe a busy restaurant. How do you approach your reviews? You read them? Do you use them?
Yeah, reviews are everything to me. Every time I get a review in, I'm like, oh my gosh, what does it say? It's kind of a giddy moment because you get that direct feedback with customers and you get to see what's on the other side of someone who's just with fresh eyes coming into this experience. So to me, I love getting reviews. We have generally tended to have really positive reviews. Sometimes you get one or two where someone was having a bad day or something goes wrong, and it's really scary and very emotional to have those reviews because this is like my baby, and so it's like, oh my gosh, just please like my baby. But they're all learning experiences, really.
Is there a review that sticks out in your mind that you maybe didn't agree with at first, but eventually just let it go? I could see being emotional or upset, but then in the end, maybe something valuable came from it.
I think it's interesting because with customer service, you always want to meet people with what they expect and what they want, but everybody wants something different. So some people want to come in and just don't be bothered. They just want to read all the labels and smell all the candles and just don't really talk to me too much until I want to check out. Some people want you to sell every single item to them and just be very engaged. So we don't always get that right because you're always adapting on the go. And as a small business owner, I'm also unpacking inventory, doing marketing, emails. So it's hard sometimes to balance all of that. But I think when I've had customers leave reviews that say, oh, I wanted more attention, I always try to take that and say, okay, next time I'm going to knock that out of the park. So it definitely motivates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you mentioned early on was you want to drive more foot traffic to businesses that you think are great, and you do that by spreading the word about them. Yes. Talk to me about beyond just writing the review. Photos, social media. Is there anything additional that you do to bolster what you're sharing online?
Well, I do take a lot of photos. The photos are things I'm big on. I take photos of everything to include, because one thing just to use your words, but people need to see visual. You can talk, but if you show them visual, some people just don't hear by words. They need to see what it is that you're talking about. So I always include my reviews with photos. That's important.
It's so important. And I think a lot of consumers don't think about that. Or sometimes we make fun of the friend that the camera eats first, right? Like, gotta take pictures of the food before you dig in.
That's me.
Well, and let me also say, that's a way to help you write a review later.
Yes.
Help you remember.
Yes.
And for a store like Earth and Me, I mean, photos are very impactful, especially if you've never been to a business like this.
Yes.
You got to know what it looks like.
Totally.
Talk to me a little bit about, for you, obviously foot traffic matters, but you have a digital element to your business as well.
Yeah, so social media is our huge touch point with our customers. So we have over 11,000 people on Earth and Me that we connect with to share things about social justice, environmental justice, things they can do, sign petitions, street tree care, like so many things you can get involved in. So we try to keep that conversation open with people, and then we're always sharing about our new products and how to use things, because a lot of the items are novel and new to people and unfamiliar. So I'm always trying to get behind explaining how things work and seeing it in action. So social media to us is just, it's really everything to our business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you also mentioned in the beginning was that being a woman-owned business stood out to you. You really liked that and gravitated towards that.
Yes. So when I found out that it was women-owned, I was all for it. Nothing against men, but I believe that women, we need to stick together. With the Yelp Elite event, that was included in the description of the event. So I was like, yeah, I'm putting in for this. This is exciting. I'm big on support. Anybody that knows me, I'm that person. I'm your biggest supporter. Even if Kayli doesn't know me, I'll support your business.
Yeah. And something that I think is so crucial here is your enthusiasm matches the business's enthusiasm to be there. And that's what makes that pair,
Yes.
right? And I know for you, Kayli, it's important to be women-owned and support other women in the store.
Yep.
Talk to me about how your identity comes through in your business.
That's a great question. Being a woman-owned business it's so important to me to use that space to really elevate women in our community who are doing the work, other women-owned businesses, women-owned artists, makers. And so, yeah, it's a diverse community. It's not just women, of course, but it's led by women for sure. That's very important to me.
Earth and Me is not just a standalone. I mean, the amount of partnerships and collaborations and even businesses that you have in your business is more than the average collaborating business, I would say.
Yep.
Talk to me about why being a part of your community is important and how that really enriches what you're doing in your own walls.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're just one piece of this puzzle of sustainability, and we couldn't do what we did without vendors and makers who care about the planet and like the ingredients they use and the handmade items, and they're just attention to giving back to their own communities. So we source from people all across the country. We do local as much as we can, but with every person that we work with as a partner, we want to share that same spirit for sustainability.
To close us out, I want to talk a little bit more about this continued relationship between being a consumer and having a business. And even though the two of you maybe didn't know each other or meet before today, like you were cheering her on before you had met her.
Yes.
Why for you as a consumer and a reviewer, is that a part of your day-to-day? Like, why should we encourage other consumers to behave that way? What motivates you?
What motivates me is just life. I just love life, and I love every aspect of life. And I just believe the world will be a better place if we just continue to support each other. We can't get ahead without support. Support is key for everything. I just love what I do. And I love it because most of the times with a lot of my reviews, a lot of owners reach out to me. They're like, thank you so much for a great review. And it means the world to me, that they saw that and they acknowledged it. So
that's such a good point. And it makes an impact on other consumers. I mean, when we look at businesses because we're wanting to find a place to go and we see the business responds, that makes them seem trustworthy.
Yes.
How about from your perspective, Kayli, like how do you show up online in a way that continues this relationship and this cycle between someone walking in the store and staying in touch or coming back?
Yeah, well, I think online is really important, but it's also just being able to sit with you and say thank you, Lina, for making such a great a true successful effort to promote my business.
You're
It
welcome.
means the world to me and to other small business owners, and we don't always get the chance to in person say that back to you, but I do try to respond to as many reviews as I can and just from the bottom of my heart say thank you for supporting my dream.
And that concludes our episode. Be sure to subscribe so you get new episodes every Thursday. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to take a thing or two away to implement in your own life. Whether it's a new idea that you can bring back to your business or a fresh perspective on how to be a positive influence as a consumer, we share these stories to inspire and create more meaningful connections in your local community. For more information about today's business or to connect with me, check out the show notes.
Behind the review, dig deeper too. Behind the review, get all the news. Food, flowers, fixing, make business bloom. Behind the review, dig deeper too.
This episode featured a conversation with Kayli Kunkel, owner of Earth and Me, and Lina A, a Yelp Elite living in New York City. Special thanks to Jesse Chayet, who helped edit this episode. To learn more about the story, head to yelp.com/behind the review and check out the guest details and episode takeaways. And don't forget to subscribe to the show so you get an alert each Thursday that we drop a new episode. To claim your own Yelp business page and start engaging with consumers, visit business.yelp.com. Our theme song is performed by Ali Schwartz and produced by Robbie G of Messerol Sound.